So thank you everybody for joining us for the webinar series on open pedagogy. Today we'll be speaking to Shinta Hernandez from Montgomery College. I just want to give you a little bit of a background on the webinar series. My name is Chris Lynch, and I'm from the SUNY Center for Professional Development from the State University of New York. We're working with the Open Education Consortium to put on a series of webinars on the open pedagogy. The schedule is listed here. If you haven't joined us before and you want to join us for any of our future webinars, if you go to the bit.ly at the bottom of the page, bit.ly Open Pedagogy Webinars, you can see the schedule there and sign up for future webinars so that you can join us. SUNY is the State University of New York, and we're the largest comprehensive higher education system in the U.S. We serve 450,000 students on 64 campuses across New York State. These campuses include community and technical colleges, all the way through to research and doctoral granting universities. This series is being sponsored by the Faculty Advisory Council on Teaching Technology, FACT2. FACT2 is a system-wide effort to improve the practice of teaching through using technology. And we're on the task force for the Open Ed initiatives. In 2018 to 2020, we'll be focusing on open pedagogies for these next 2 years. And this webinar series is designed to introduce the concept of open pedagogy and to give several examples of professors who have embraced the idea and improved their teaching and learning through it. And I'm going to introduce Una Daly. Una is with the Open Ed Consortium, and she is going to speak more on that.
All right, thank you, Chris. Yes, this is Una Daly from the community colleges at the Open Ed Consortium, and we're just very excited to work with SUNY on this wonderful series. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are the leading global organization working for open education worldwide. We're in over 44 countries, and we welcome new members to join us. Next slide, please. Here's just an example of some of our projects and Open Education Week, which is this week, and part of this webinar series is led and organized by the Open Ed Consortium. And so we have, I've forgotten the statistics now, but we do have hundreds of institutions, and it's well over 50 countries who are participating in Open Education Week with us. So welcome to that. And yes, and here's a little bit more about Open Education Week. That website stays up all year, so if you miss some things, you can catch them later on this year and see about all the events and projects around the world. And next slide, please. Thank you. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Professor Shinta Hernandez, who is the Department Chair of Sociology, Anthropology, and Criminal Justice at Montgomery College in Maryland. She's been at Montgomery College for 12 years and taught sociology prior to becoming the department chair, and she's also worked in the public policy arena. She's currently working on her dissertation in the PhD sociology program at the University of Maryland. And I've heard Shinta speak about this Open Pedagogy Fellowship several times, and each time I'm just so impressed with it. And just a very brief overview before we turn this over to her. The Open Pedagogy Fellowship was created at Montgomery College to help faculty create renewable assignments that require the students to become agents of change in the community. The renewable assignments created by these faculty fellows require that students tackle a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal through the open pedagogy coursework. The ultimate goal of the fellowship is to achieve greater social justice in the community and in work that can be freely shared outside the college as well. And through the fall of 2018, 571 students have been impacted by this groundbreaking work. And now we're going to hear more about that from Shinta Hernandez.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I am going to now share my screen so that you all can see the PowerPoint that I have prepared. Let me know if you see it.
There it is. It looks
There
perfect.
it is. Okay, great. So I can do slideshow. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. It depends on where you are in the world. Thank you for having me today. I know you're all so very busy, so I appreciate that you chose to be here to learn more about our open pedagogy work. So as was introduced, I guess I don't have to go too much into who I am. So I'm Shinta Hernandez, Department Chair, and I'm honored to have this space to talk about what I believe is exciting, innovative, transformative work that we call, as you see on screen, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Open Pedagogy Faculty Fellowship. It's quite a mouthful, but I promise that after some time you'll get used to it after a while. So let me give you a quick rundown of how we're going to spend the next 30 minutes together. I'd like to start by giving you an introduction of my institution, Montgomery College, to give you an idea of who we are and where we are. And then I'll spend the majority of the time talking about the actual fellowship, and the last 10 minutes or so can be our Q&A session. So if everyone is all right with that, then let me tell you a bit about Montgomery College. MC is located in Montgomery County, Maryland, so it's just right outside of Washington, D.C., so northwest of the nation's capital. And we are a 2-year public community college. We have 3 main campuses, and we have several off-site locations, and we also have distance education. And as you can see on your screen there, we have many, many wonderful full-time faculty and part-time faculty. We have about 54,000 credit and non-credit students representing 165 countries. And this particular ranking is something that we're loud and proud about. The Chronicle of Higher Ed ranked Montgomery College as the #1 most diverse community college in the continental United States. As one can probably imagine, the community colleges in Hawaii ranked the most diverse overall. So maybe not a surprise to some of you. Now, before I go into the nitty-gritty of the fellowship itself, I do want to tell you about the framework of our open education efforts at Montgomery College. So we have what we call Open, or MC Open Initiative. And under this initiative, there are 4 pillars that are embraced in practice, as you see on the screen. Success, access, affordability, and collaboration. It is through MC Open that students can find information on our Z courses, on our Z degrees. The college offers 3 Z degrees, business, communications, and general studies, and we're currently working on a few more, including criminal justice, which is one of the disciplines I oversee, so I'm very, very excited about that. Now, our MC Open initiative has saved students an estimated $2.4 million in textbook costs over the last 4 semesters. And there were over 400 Z-course sections offered in fall 2018. We had about 8,400 students enrolled in these Z-course sections. And so, of course, we're naturally excited that we've been quite successful with these efforts because clearly this work can help to improve student success outcomes. If students have access to the course materials without financial barriers on day 1 of the semester, then we have achieved equity and social justice in that regard. So where am I going with this? Well, while we understand how important it is for our students to save money and gain access to free course materials without financial hindrances, it's equally or maybe even more important that as educators, we create the learning environment that has evidence-based student success through high learning or high quality strategies such as active learning or experiential learning. So central to our mission at Montgomery College is social justice. And so when I was at an Open Ed conference in Anaheim in 2017, many of you were probably there, I was there with a team from Montgomery College, and including my colleague, Dr. Mike Mills, who's the Vice President of E-Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Excellence. We call it the Office of Elite. And the group of us talked about this idea of marrying open pedagogy and social justice together. We talked with others at the conference about this idea, and we did some research ourselves. And we were told that the 2 concepts had never been formally coordinated before, at least not on a large scale. So when we returned from Open Ed that year in fall 2017, we quickly mobilized on that idea, and the fellowship was born. So as you see from this list, and Una had mentioned the ultimate objectives of the fellowship, but I kind of want to go into a little bit of detail about what the objectives are. So if you remember, the long name of the fellowship is United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Open Pedagogy Faculty Fellowship. The first 2 objectives on your screen are related to the open pedagogy, in which we wanted faculty to create renewable assignments that put students at the center of their learning process and it required them to be change agents in the community. The third objective is related to the social justice aspect of the fellowship, in that faculty and students were required to tackle at least one SDG in their courses. And in some cases, they tackled a couple at the same time. The last objective is a combination of open pedagogy and social justice. And in fact, by doing this fellowship, we're actually tackling the UN SDG number 4, which is quality education. So now, just like the periodic table, no one here ever expects anyone to memorize all of the UN SDGs. So for your convenience, here they are, all 17 of them. And as you can see, these 17 goals address a wide range of social issues, such as poverty, inequality, climate change, peace and justice. And they're designed to achieve and maintain global justice and a sustainable future, right? So the United Nations has put a target year of 2030 for the entire world to achieve these goals. And as you can see from the UN SDG framework, in terms of a fellowship, there's pretty much something for just about every discipline, from biology to sociology. There's something for political science, economics, the list goes on, right? So let me give you now a better idea of the logistics behind the execution of the fellowship, especially if any of you out there are interested in replicating something like this at your institution, or if you're interested in a collaboration with us. We can certainly talk about that. Last spring, 2018, we put out the call for the very first time for applications in early February. And just as a side note, this year we actually did it during Open Ed Week this week because that just seems like the most opportune time to do that. In fact, our call went out to our college community just yesterday, and we've already received some interest. So, and it's only been day 2 today. What we also heard, again, a side note, is that we heard from the faculty fellows from last year who spread the word on their own about the fellowship, and they generated interest among other colleagues. So we're grateful and excited about what this next cohort will look like. In terms of a deadline, we put April 2018 as our deadline because that allows our faculty to know what their summer is going to look like, because this is a summer fellowship. So when we announced the selected faculty, the group, the cohort, was placed into interdisciplinary and intercampus teams. Being interdisciplinary was important because, you know, it truly reflects the world today, like the job market. It's very interdisciplinary in nature. So we wanted that theme to run across. And for us, it was also important that faculty teams had to be from different campuses so as to maximize student impact across the college. We're a very large institution, so we wanted to ensure that opportunities for faculty and students to be involved in this work was as equitable as possible. So on the application form, faculty fellows had to choose one common SDG on which their renewable assignments would be centered. And some of the faculty applied jointly if they knew someone they wanted to work with. So that was easy to pair up. But others applied individually if they didn't know anyone who was interested. And in those cases, we simply paired that person up with another individual applicant based on their stated SDG, all the while also ensuring that the disciplines and campuses were different too. We needed to ensure that those 2 criteria were also part of the team. So as you can see on the slide, there were 15 faculty fellows last year, representing 12 disciplines, 3 campuses, including a distance ed class. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. They had to attend 4 mandatory summer meetings last year. And in the kickoff meeting, they received an introduction to the fellowship and an introduction to open pedagogy. Because for so many of them, it was their first time embarking in the open pedagogy world. So there was both excitement and some uncertainty about what they got themselves into. Also during these meetings, subsequently throughout the summer, we had a student panel come in, and we also had a panel of community experts who gave the faculty fellows some ideas on renewable assignments that would be meaningful for the students and for the community. The fellows had to present on their assignments during the very final summer meeting. And we were told, based on a survey that we had handed out, we found out that it was useful for them to present on that last day, because if there were questions or concerns, they could iron those out before the semester began, before they had to deploy their assignments. So now these faculty fellows had to create 3 renewable assignments. They only had to deploy 2 of them of their choosing, however, in their fall 2018 courses. They could choose all 3 assignments that they wanted to, and in some cases in our fellowship, some faculty teams did choose to do all 3. As Una had mentioned, these courses were in 16 different, these assignments were in 16 different courses, 25 sections. Over 570 students were enrolled in these classes. So you can imagine the potential impact that this one fellowship alone had on our communities far and wide. And the culmination of the work was a student showcase in February, which was actually just last week, with a select group of students. We had 16 student presenters last week. And we had nearly 100 colleagues and family and friends of the student presenters attend the event. So that was exciting. And what made this fellowship unique is that, based on our experience, we tend to see fellowship presentations usually done by faculty only, just themselves. And we rarely get to hear from the students. So with this fellowship, you actually get both, right? You get all the faculty fellows presenting their assignments before the semester started, before fall, and then a select group of students presenting their work after the semester ended in spring. So we thought that this was a nice way to start a chapter and then close a chapter of a very large book. Here is our website to our Montgomery College Faculty Fellowship page. And in the interest of time, I won't take you there now, but when these slides are posted, when you are in slideshow mode, you can just click on this screen and it should take you directly to the site. The hyperlink is embedded. And I triple checked before the webinar began just to be sure that it worked, so it does work. On this website, you'll find the faculty assignments, you'll find the student projects, you'll even find the application form and that we just sent out yesterday to our college community. And you'll also find the Student Showcase video. We did take a video of the event from last week. So please take a look, especially if you're interested in replicating something like this at your institution. Now, I want to spend some time showing you 4 assignments and student projects that came out of this fellowship. All of these assignments have the Creative Commons license and are available on our website. So take a look and adopt or adapt as you see fit. Now, you can't really see any of the assignments, and that's okay. The font is tiny, but I do want to direct you to our website at some point when you get a chance, and you can see all of the assignments in their entirety. Now, this first assignment was created by a faculty team of Spanish and chemistry instructors who are from 2 different campuses, tackling the UN SDG number 12, responsible consumption and production. And students had to watch 2 documentaries, which I imagine included a ton of science information, so this may have fulfilled the chemistry component of the assignment. And then students had to find out about the recycling practices in a Spanish-speaking community or country of their choice, and then create an informational product in Spanish, like a pamphlet or a video or a social media campaign to raise awareness about recycling. And clearly this was the Spanish component of the assignment. So you can see how these 2 disciplines, Spanish and chemistry, came together to create this interdisciplinary assignment. And so I want to show you what the project looks like, or one of the projects. This is a pamphlet that one of the students presented at the Student Showcase last week, all done in Spanish. So when you look at this, you might think, okay, a pamphlet, right, wonderful. But what might seem like a simple pamphlet has the potential to do wonders in whichever Spanish-speaking country or community this gets distributed in. And I'll tell you that this student said that the fellowship assignments not only changed her mindset and her behaviors on a regular basis, but also changed her career path. She now wants to work in the communications unit of an environmental organization. So that certainly was a byproduct of the fellowship, which we certainly did not even expect, but we were very pleased to hear. And so in the future, we actually would like to have this student speak at some point with us. So in future webinars and other avenues, you might be able to hear directly from this student. let me share with you a second assignment. And this was created by a faculty team of psychology and ELAP instructors. ELAP is our developmental English. And they tackled UN SDG number 3, which is good health and well-being. The gist of this assignment is that students were given the option of volunteering to run or walk in a marathon with EveryMind, which is our county's mental health agency, or watch a documentary at the college called Screenagers, many of you probably have heard of that, about mental health and technology. And let me show you what one group of students did. So they decided to raise money to run or walk in the EveryMind Marathon, and they videotaped it. So here's the clip, but again, in the interest of time, I won't show it to you. You can click on it when it's posted. But this is a good example of community engagement in a very physically active format, right? They went out there, they raised money, they advocated for mental health, and they ran or walked, and then they videotaped it, and then the group presented at the showcase last week. Let me show you a couple more assignments, and then I promise you I'll be done, and then we could take questions. This one is one that was created by a faculty team of biology and sociology instructors who tackled SDG number 10, reduce inequalities. And this assignment required students to discuss how the macromolecules of food are intertwined with culture and how they can be linked to food insecurity. And so one of the projects that was presented last week at the showcase was this one. And what this student decided to do was create a video. And this was her PSA way of showing people what quinoa is and what are its impacts. And this video, when you do get the chance to take a look at it, it tells you pretty much everything you wanted to know about the structure of quinoa, probably more than you expected to know, which it's serving the biology component of the assignment. But what's truly, for me at least as a sociologist, what's truly impactful for me was that this student connected quinoa production to Bolivia, which is the student's place of origin, and which fulfills the sociology requirement. So this student really felt like there was a very deep meaning to her, this assignment. It became a very personal assignment to her, in addition to actually going out there and raising awareness about what quinoa is. So this is another way of community engagement, if you will. All right, very last assignment I want to share with you. Created by the same biology-sociology faculty team. In this one, they were required to examine and analyze disparate health outcomes based on race, on ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, etc. And these are variables that we discuss at great length in every sociology class, right? So what this student did, he did something very highly innovative, and he showed it to us at the showcase last week. He combined his hobby of glass blowing to illustrate iron deficiency anemia. And again, this is a video, so when it gets posted, you can take a look. You can't really see it clearly, but in his hand is a glass sculpture. And that glass sculpture shows what a person with a lack of hemoglobin and red blood cells looks like versus a person with healthy red blood cells. And so when this sculpture was shown at the event last week, just about everyone wowed at it, because I don't think any one of us expected that kind of product to come out of assignments or a fellowship like this. So just quickly, I'm not going to read that all, but you can see this one again, it's posted, but we got a lot of positive feedback. And but just based on just the 4 student projects that I showed you today, you can see the varying levels of community engagement, right? You can see a recycling pamphlet in Spanish, a marathon, a video on quinoa production, a glass blowing sculpture. And this was all intentional on our part because we didn't want to restrict students to traditional service learning only, like volunteering at a food bank or cleaning up a creek, which although certainly would have been perfectly fine and acceptable and wonderful, but we wanted the faculty and students to be innovative about how they wanted to impact the world as agents of change in their community. So very quickly, I see the time here. What's next on the horizon for us? We're not going to stop here. We are going to partner with Rajiv over at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. And many of you probably know him in the open education space. We're excited that we will be able to cross borders and get this work going across other institutions, across the other countries. This is a first ever international partnership of this kind. And so we are very excited that we have the potential to change the world, not just one person at a time, but one school and one community at a time. So thank you. Una, am I okay with time? I can take questions now.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you're great. Whoa, those assignments are amazing. I just wanted to mention that you did have a few questions in there. And I'll repeat them for you if that's okay.
Sure.
This is from, I think, Borough of Manhattan Community College. And they asked, curious if the faculty receive stipends.
So the way it works here, we can't give stipends to our faculty. We give them course release. So we call it ESH, E-S-H. We gave them some summer ESH to do the work, creating the assignments, to attend those meetings, and then to be present at the student showcase event in February.
Wonderful. And there was a follow-on question from the same folks at BMCC. They asked about the logistics of having students from 2 different classes work together.
Yeah, the students themselves were not from 2 different classes. It was the faculty who were from 2 different disciplines and campuses. So then they would deploy their interdisciplinary assignment into their own classes. So for example, the Spanish instructor, while she worked with the chemistry instructor, she deployed it only to her students in her Spanish class. So it wasn't that the students were working across courses. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Although that would be interesting too, though. Maybe the next round.
And we had a question from Nan Travers, and she said, are there plans to integrate what the students have created back into the curriculum?
Back into the curriculum? Absolutely. You know, this is just the inaugural fellowship. So my hope is that this gets spread into the curriculum at a larger scale, that it might seep into other programs that we have at the college, because it shouldn't just stay, in my opinion, of course, shouldn't just stay within one fellowship. We should be able to have this penetrate through across the other levels and systems at our institution. And there is a great interest in doing something like that. But I think right now we're so early on that we got to make sure that it works, and it's working. We've got the data to show that it's working. And then hopefully eventually we can have this up, we can scale this up into something bigger.
Wonderful. And there was a comment from Keith Landa, who's a SUNY professor, and he mentioned that the SUNY COIL Center, and I'm pretty sure Chris knows what COIL stands for, but it's International Learning. They have a framework for doing international collaboration. So it might be helpful for your work with Rajiv at Kwantlen Polytechnic in BC.
Wonderful. Okay, terrific. Please contact me after this webinar.
He did put the website in the.
Oh, terrific. Okay, I can't see that yet because I only see my screen, and I don't want to mess up my screen yet. Yeah. Terrific. Thank you.
Chris, did you see any other questions?
I didn't. Let me just check.
And at the end of this, at the end of my slide deck, when it does get posted, the information for both myself and Dr. Mike Mills are up there, our email address, our Twitter handle, our titles. So if anyone out there is interested in contacting us because you have questions about the fellowship or you want to collaborate or have conversations with us, it's at the end of this slide deck.
Wonderful.
Keith indicated that he said, thank you for sharing your application on the website. He definitely plans to check it out.
Wonderful, and you're welcome. Thank you for checking it out. And let me just take the opportunity to thank all of you for allowing us to talk about this very exciting work. We've been able to talk about it outside of the college now, and so we're grateful for all the shout outs and the highlights. So we appreciate that.
Okay, well, if there isn't any more questions, then we will end the webinar. Thank you for joining us, Shinta. We really appreciate you speaking about your project.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Make sure to check out our schedule for the upcoming webinars on open pedagogy and sign up for some more to learn some more.
There's
Thank you.
There's a few more events
Yeah.
going on today. I just might mention we're having a math faculty dialogue at 3 p.m. Eastern today. So join CCCOER for that if it works into your schedule. And we're recording these as well.
Yep, it will be
Thanks, Chris.
posted on the website. So thank you.
Great.
Everybody have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. You all do too.